President Cyril Ramaphosa has told SABC News that he thinks that progress has been made towards lifting COVID-19 vaccine patent rights after 2 days of talks in Brussels. The president travelled to the EU capital for a landmark summit between European and African unions, bringing together dozens of world leaders. Our correspondent in Brussels is Rosie Birchard, who was at the summit and spoke to the president after talks wrapped up. She started by asking him about the thorny issue of vaccine production, one over which the EU and South Africa have had major differences.
President Ramaphosa, thank you so much for speaking to SABC News. President, here in Brussels, you've earned a reputation as being one of the EU's harshest critics when it comes to managing the pandemic. You came all the way here, but you haven't achieved your goal, namely unlocking a TRIPS waiver. Are you any closer to that goal?
Well, I think we have made some progress. It's not there yet in terms of unlocking the TRIPS waiver. We've raised the issue very sharply, and we have actually said that it is Europe that is really standing in the way of a full agreement on a TRIPS waiver, because they have been trying to protect those who have intellectual property. And we've argued that vaccines for the COVID pandemic should be seen as a public good. And those who want to protect their IP do so for or with a profit motive, that this pandemic should be underpinned and underlined by generosity, solidarity, and public good intentions. And this is what we have been arguing here, that profit should not be what motivates people to make more and more money. It should be to save more and more lives. We've put the message very strongly, and I believe that with the process that's now been put in place, that it's going to be commission to commission now, that is African Union Commission and European Union Commission, within a short space of time, they will try to see what agreement can be reached, which can then be taken forward at the WTO. Our team at the WTO is very clear on what we need to achieve. It's important that for a set time there should be a waiver of the TRIPS measure, so that we can get on with the process of manufacturing cheaper vaccines. Our continent has only reached less than 10% of vaccination, and we still need lots of vaccines to be able to spread around the various countries on the continent. The more we have, the better, that we will be able to reach a high level, up to 60% of vaccination.
Let's move away from Brussels just for a moment.
Where do you want to go to?
To South Africa, if you wouldn't mind. These are trying times in South Africa with record high levels of unemployment. You've recently said that these economic challenges keep you up at night. What can you tell us ahead of next week's budget announcement?
Well, the budget is going to be presented next week, and it will largely be putting financial muscle to what we said in the State of the Nation speech. But obviously we are constrained. Our fiscal challenges constrain us in a number of ways. We are not able to do as much as we want to. We're not able to dole out money to create as many jobs as we would like to see. So we have to walk a tightrope. But the Minister of Finance will be articulating all that. What we are clear about is that creation of jobs is going to be the key focus for ourselves as a government going forward. The number of people who are unemployed in our country are just unsustainably high. But we also want to focus on how we can protect those who are currently really challenged by being unemployed, by being vulnerable. So that too is going to be our challenge. But we also want to focus on investments, increasing the level of investments. And we do that through creating that environment in which businesses can invest and through which more jobs can be created. So we are highly focused on ensuring that we get on with our reforms. The structural reforms will be gaining momentum. We have started very well through the Vulindlela process that is lodged in the presidency and also has the participation of Treasury. And through that, we are going to be unlocking more and more of those impediments that have been standing in the way of investment and further growth. So we are focused in that way.
Earlier, you spoke about investment. At this summit, the EU has unveiled a major investment package. But here in Brussels, that's widely seen as a bid to rival China's influence on the African continent. So what I want to know is, do you think Europe is really a reliable partner for Africa? And is this a partnership of equals?
Well, obviously, we must say we welcome the intention that's been announced for $150 billion, even though it is over 7 years. It is significant. But for us, as we've lived through various promises from, the COP Paris Accord, when $100 billion was promised per year, we look at this with a degree of wanting to see whether it will really be done, because we still remember what was not done in the past. But then again, they have come forward to say this is what we are promising. The pudding, as they say in the classics, is going to be in the tasting. We will see whether in the end they do live up to what they say they want to invest in agriculture, in infrastructure, in power generation, and all that. So we will see. I did raise the question that, we want to know what the terms are. What are the real terms? And when is this all going to happen? And where is it going to happen? To whom is this going to be made available? So those terms, in my view, are still not clear. So we will still need to see whether at a commission-to-commission level, European and African Commission, things will be clarified. But in the end, they've made this commitment. And are they trying to rival China? I wouldn't say. We have welcomed China as a partner, and China is supportive of the African development agenda. And we welcome various parts of the world to invest in Africa. Africa is ready and willing and hungry for investment, but we will take the investments on terms that are not going to undermine our sovereignty as Africa. We must make that very clear. We've been very clear in saying, help us not on terms that are going to take us back to colonialism. If you are interested in being our partner for development, yes, we will say the strings that need to be attached to whatever form of help need to be very transparent, they need to be clear, but what we must say is that we are not prepared to have strings that take us back to a colonial past.